Thank. All righty, girls. So can you see my hands? And can you all hear me? Give me a thumbs up. I'm seeing thumbs up. All righty. All right, girls. Well, today I am so excited for today's topic for a number of reasons. But today's topic is it's going to be of interest, hopefully, for a number of different reasons. I'm covering 10 steps to a successful Stampa stack. And why would you want to do a Stampa stack? What is a Stampa stack? A Stampa stack is basically making up a stack of cards, making up a bunch of them. And you might want to do it for swaps. You might want to do it to build up your stash. You might want to do it because Christmas is coming. You might want to do it just because you love the product so much and you just want to play. And so here's 10 sequential steps for a successful Stampa stack. Now, I will just tell you this might interest you for a number of reasons. This is a kit that I offer. So I sell Stampa stack kits to go. And so you might be interested in this kit, and I'm going to show you exactly all the ingredients inside of it. You might be interested because swaps are coming up and we've never done swaps before. So you might be like, well, how could I use different product, but the same idea for a swap? And you might be a demonstrator who wants to offer a Stampa stack to your customers. So I'll try to cover like all of those different bases. And I'll also try to cover like kind of production line, like how do you do stuff quickly? We'll do that at the end. So these are just a sampling of some of the cards that could be made from just one same set of products. And I'm going to show all of these a little bit closer, but this isn't even all of them. This isn't even all 18. The truth is I haven't yet made all 18. I made about 10 yesterday. So following along, the very first thing that I do with a Stampa stack is I start out with my designer series paper. So we are working with the Sun Prince collection. And can I get a thumbs up just to make sure you guys can see okay and you can hear okay? Everything going all right? Yeah, thank you, Lynn. All right. We are working with the Sun Prince collection. I don't know if you know this paper. It is so pretty. It's Sun Prince from Stampin' Up. And here's the few different patterns, and it's two-sided, and so we can get a variety of looks and we can work with it a variety of different ways. So when you get a kit from me, you're either going to get it cut into this 6x12. It comes as a 12x12, by the way. So you're either going to get it cut as 6x12, or I may go in and further cut it at the 4 inches just for shipping purposes. But for today, let's assume you've gone in, you've picked your designer series paper pack, and you cut it into 6x12. This is basically 1/4 of a pack. You can get 18 cards out of 1/4. I'm going to ask everybody to put their own selves on mute. Peggy, it might be you that's not, or do you have a question? No, okay, thanks. Feel free to unmute if you have a question. So you can get at least 18 cards out of this. And so I think I'm still hearing somebody. Let me go in. I don't want to be a meanie, but I'm just going to go in and mute everybody. And Patty. Welcome, Patty. I'm going to mute you, and I'm glad you're here. All right. If you guys need help unmuting, maybe chat. I'll put the chat up to see, and just let me know if you're struggling with unmute or like wave or something. So step one, we select our designer series paper and we cut 1/4 of a pack into 6x12. So I then further take the paper from 6x12 and I further cut it into 4x12. So 4x6. So I'm going to do that right here. So you can get, so now this is the 12-inch way and this is the 6-inch way. If you turn it on the long way, 4-inch, 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 that's going to be 12 inches. So I'm going to cut it at 4 and I'm going to cut it at 4. And I'm going to do that for all my pieces. And then now I'm at 4 inches. And now I'm further going to come in and I'm going to go to 4 by 5 1/4. And any PDF will have these instructions in it. So I'm going through it kind of quickly, but basically you want to get to 4 by 5 1/4. And why is that? Because 4 by 5 1/4 is what's going to fit on our card base. We can take this piece from here and we can do anything we want with it. So, so I get everything down to 4 by 5 1/4. So I've done that ahead of time. I try to do some stuff ahead of time so that we're not sitting here watching me cut. So you're going to end up with 18 sheets like this, and you're going to end up with 18 3/4 by 4 strips like this. Now don't throw these away. First of all, strips are amazing, and there's always something you can do with them, even if you just put it on the inside. But we're actually going to use this in one of the card designs today. So you've got 18 of these and you've got 18 of these. So that's step 1. It's the very first thing we're going to do. And so I said at minimum, we can get 18 cards. So I'm going to put my trimmer away and I'm going to look what my instructions say. Now step 2. So we've done all that. Now we're going to assemble our ink pads and our cardstock in matching colors. You guys, I follow this formula. I'm not kidding. I've done a million Stamp-A-Stacks and I follow this formula every time. So I get out the ink pads and the cardstock in matching colors. Now here's what I love about Stampin' Up. Stampin' Up, the colors just match. You just know they're going to match. So if you've got gray granite in the cardstock and you've got gray granite in the ink and you've got gray granite in the designer series paper, you just know they're all going to match. So this Sun Prince pattern has gray granite, Pacific Point, Night of Navy, and a new in color right now, Starry Sky, and then basic white. So now, do you have to have all these ink pads to do the Stamp-A-Stack? The answer is no, you do not. You could just use Memento Black and it's fine. If you were just going to pick one, well, of course I can't pick one. I love our colors. Night of Navy, you'd be pretty safe with. Starry Sky, gray granite. Actually, you'd be fine with any of them. So get your ink pads and get your cardstock. Now in your kit, and I'm going to keep referring to this kit, and again, you either buy the kit or you make up your own as you go along. I mean, not as you go along today, but make up your own kit. You're going to get cardstock. So, so I have 18 card fronts right here. Now I kind of just said, all right, I'm going to do 3 Starry Sky. I'm going to do 4 gray granite. I'm going to do 3 Pacific Point. I'm going to do 4 Night of Navy. I'm going to do 4 basic white thick. I always use basic white thick cardstock for my card bases. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I've got 18 here. You could have mixed and matched and done anything you wanted, but it's kind of like, I like to do a little bit of like, let's follow along step by step, but I also like to do a little bit of creativity and play and fun. So as long as you have all the ingredients, you can then either follow my pictures exactly, or you can have a little bit of fun with it. So I've got my 18 card bases. Now, in this particular case, I also know that I wanted some additional things. So I cut up and I embossed, I cut up some additional layers. So in your kit, you're going to get just a number of cardstock layers. Now, if you want the PDF for this kit, I am going to sell just that. If you want to know like exactly the ingredients, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2 of each color. And this is the full panel, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I include that. You can do your own die cutting. You can do your own punching. You can follow along my pictures exactly. You can use it for layers, but I've included a mix of colors. And then I've included 7 of these ferns. You guys, look at this embossing folder. Is this amazing? Oh my gosh, I love this. I love ferns. I love this embossing folder. I've included 7. Why did I include 7? Because I kind of work in rules of 6. Because you're going to get, you can make 6 cards with it, and then you're going to have just an extra one that you can kind of play a little bit. So gather all of your cardstock and be thinking about your layers. That's our next step. And the other thing I wanted to tell you, I might have went off script of my 1 to 10 a little bit, but I'll get back on track. I always have 18 envelopes, so your kit will have 18 envelopes, and your kit will have enough insides. I do not like a naked, I call it naked inside. I always like a lined inside. So for no matter what color it is, unless it's basic white, I've included a liner for you. So you're going to get a number of envelopes and liners. So you can cut all those up ahead of time and have those available too. And really the idea is you're wanting to, I mean, eventually we're going to get to an assembly line state. So you want to have all this stuff done ahead of time so you can kind of sit and do an assembly line. So we've assembled our ink pads, our cardstock in matching colors. We cut our card bases into 5.5 by 8.5, and we scored at 4.25. So we've done that. Now, if you know you're going to be doing a fun fold or a different sketch, then go ahead and prepare it that way, or wait and decide on your sketch and kind of come back to this step later if you think you're going to do something different. But for this case, I know that I'm just doing the basic kind of, what is that called? The A2, I guess. And I've cut up some extra layers. Okay, now we're on step 3. Decide which sentiment stamp set. Now, ideally, you would have the stamp set or the bundle that matches along with the paper that you're working with. I mean, when Stampin' Up! Matches stuff, everything matches, including like the font is so delicate and it goes with the stamps and it goes with the images and it goes with the paper. And I just have to tell you, just for this sentiment alone, You're on My Mind, this stamp set is worth getting. I've already used this like multiple times. You're on My Mind. It's beautiful. Like it fits for everything. So, so anyway, get your stamp set of sentiments. Now, my kits, you do not have to have the bundle. I do the die cutting and the punching, and you can use any sentiment. So if you don't have these, then you could certainly use whatever sentiments that you have on hand. So, but in any event, gather your stamps and your dies. So let's say you're not getting one of my kits, and let's say you're going to do your own. We'll get the dies or whatever punches you want to use. So, get your stamps, get your blocks, get your stamp cleaner. I put everything on blocks. I have a bunch of blocks, so I have like multiple sizes. So when I get going into production mode, I don't want to be like on and off, on and off, on and off. I just want to get into production mode. I want to stamp. I want to go to it. I could be using my Stamparatus as well. So I have many blocks. So get all your stamps all ready and your blocks and your cleaner and whatever you're going to do there. So now that you know the sentiments and the stamps that you're going to feature, you can punch and you can die cut a bunch of sentiment labels. So here, I make kits that I love to make. I mean, I make my own kits. I not only do I make them and sell them, but like I make extra for myself and I sit down and I play with them because I love my kits so much. So, so this is what you would get in one of my kits. And this is what you would get. This is what you could do just if you're doing your own Stamp-A-Stack for yourself. Just die cut a bunch of things. Now I could have done, I think that this is one of the ones that comes in the, let me show you on a background. This is one of the ones that comes in the bundle itself. So I could have just rolled through a bunch of these and made a bunch of things that come in the bundle itself. But I loved kind of this sunprint notion. So I went through and I just went through all my dies and I picked like what would look good with this sunprint collection. So I went through my punches and dies. I've got one card with a sunflower. So in your kit, you're going to get all of these things. And I may not use, like this guy I didn't end up using in a sample yet. I may not. I'm going to throw him in there anyway. I just haven't finished designing everything. You're going to get, for one of the designs, you need these pieces. And so you're going to get 6 of those. You're going to get 6. I do batches of 6. So you're going to get 6 punches. You're going to get 6 circles like this size that could fit on here. You're going to get 6 backgrounds. You're going to get 6 baby circles that will fit on vellum. You could do the same thing for yourself. Now, I want to tell you what I didn't end up using. I also rolled out the wreath and I rolled out a bunch of other things that I just couldn't make them work, or I decided they weren't great for mass production. This wreath came with the sun prints and it's stunning and it's beautiful. And I've decided for me, I am not going to mass produce like however many kits that I'm making for that. That's that to me, it's too special. That's not a mass production item. That's like a special one of a kind. If you want it, if you love it, get the bundle and you can do that. But so I rolled out a bunch. I just didn't end up. I tried so hard to make this guy work. I could not make this guy work. I thought he looked so cool like that, but I could not make him work with this kit. So so it is a little bit of playing and experimenting, but I was able to make all these other guys work. And so you're going to get this in your kit. And these are some things you could do yourself, or in the PDF, I will list out, like I'll put a picture of all that in there and I will list out like all the dies. But you're basically making yourself a fun little pack. So give me a thumbs up if you're following along okay. Yeah, okay, good. All right. So now you've got your punches and your die cuts and your sentiment labels. I told you I work in 3 sets of 6. So like 6 cards like this, 6 cards like this. So I work in 3 sets of 6. So I do lots of, oops, well, there was that ink pad. I do lots of thinking in sets of 6. So that's what I do. And for demos who might be offering this as a class, I go with this design motto. I punch 12 labels and I die cut 6. So I had some circle punches. They match our die cuts. It just so happens I had circle punches. So I punch a whole bunch if I can. And then these were die cut. And I did do 6 of these die cuts. So punching goes a lot easier. The dragonflies, some of those things are going to be easier. So if you're a demo doing this, and it depends if you're doing it in person also, they could be doing some of the die cutting or punching themselves. But anyway, I go with this design motto, even for my own self, for efficiency. I punch more than I die cut. And if you know you want to stamp images, make sure to roll out, like, let's say I want to feature this guy. Well, maybe I'm going to roll out like the color and contour or some kind of rectangle frame so that I can emphasize that guy. So then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to gather half a pack of gems. I have never used more than half a pack of gems on this Stamp-A-Stack of 18 cards. I have never run out. Now you might end up using some big ones where you wanted to use small ones or whatever, but I always use half a pack of gems and I have never run out with that formula. And so you get your gems and then you gather your matching ribbon. Now I like to have a variety of ribbon. So I've got 4 different ribbons here and they're basically the equivalent of a quarter roll each. So that's a quarter roll, that's a quarter roll, that's a quarter roll, that's a quarter roll. It's about 7.5 feet each. Sometimes the twine is less. Sometimes the roll isn't exactly like, 10 yards or whatever. So I kind of, I cut it in half and then I cut it in half again and then everybody gets a 4th. And then I just roll it up like that. But I will even do this just sitting for myself. If I want to do a Stamp-A-Stack, I'll do this sitting for myself and I'll just have everything right there so that I can work with these different things. So that's the ribbon. The note says I can get by with half a roll, and that's true. I really prefer 1 roll. So change that. I'm going to change that in my notes. I'm going to write this in a blog post tomorrow, but I really like a lot of ribbon. So so make that 1 roll equivalent. Now for a Stamp-A-Stack, I do 3 different sketches. If I'm doing a swap, and I'll talk about that, then I'm going to do it a little bit different. Or if I'm doing mass production, I do it a little bit different. But for a Stamp-A-Stack, I have 3 different designs. And so I'm going to show you those. And actually, I'm going to pause for a minute. I'm going to stop sharing here and I'm going to spotlight my room because I could not wait to do this decoration. I have been matching my decorations to my card kits when I do them. And so I've been so excited to show you this because it matches my new room redesign. So navy is the theme, but I'm going to go back there. I put some of the cards on display also for like, for what because they match so perfectly. But anyway, sun prints, Stampin' Up! Is just so on trend. Like sun prints, I got those at Hobby Lobby. Stampin' Up! Is so on trend. Like those things are just available. So I'm just going to grab the ones I've got on display. Judy, here's your sunflower you love. But I am loving that background. I just got my room redesigned and at first I was going to like store a bunch of shelves or, I don't know, containers back there full of stuff. And I'm like, no way, man, I'm going to play. So, all right. So now let me show you what I did. So, oh, Wrigley Piggly's visiting us. Hi, honey. I'm teaching a class.
All right.
So this is design one. I always in my Stampa stacks try to use the full sheet of 4 by 5 1/4. And I could have made 18 like this because why? Because I have 18 4 by 4 by 5 1/4 sheets. I just do. So this is your design one, and you can see here like how I've used all the different die cuts and different punches. So you'll get a picture of this, but here, this is design one. So you've got your thick white base, you've got your Pacific Point. You're gonna cut the designer series paper and I'll give you the dimensions, but that's 3 3/4 by 5 then, right? So, so you can layer it that way. It's got a very simple bow right there, the starry sky, love it. And then you're going to get this guy, right? You're going to get this die cut that you can just add right there. Now, how did I get it to look so dimensional? Well, I put Stampin' Dimensionals. I put like Stampin' Dimensionals just a few places, so it really had some height to it. And then you're going to get some extra cardstock, basic white cardstock, so you can put, I think that might have been, I don't know what color, Night and Navy or Starry Sky, but best wishes and happy thoughts. So that's design one, and you can follow this same like it's the same design as this right here. Really, it's the same. I've got ribbon, I've tied it in a bow, I've got a little different sentiment label there. This is in Pacific Point. This one I did add some gems, and this one I took one of the butterflies and put in the corner. Now I love to add like a little gem whenever I do a butterfly or a dragonfly. I might do one or I might do multiple. So that's kind of a signature theme I do right there. But that's that guy. You're going to get this thanks die. This is a very simple version of this card. It's the same kind of layout, if you will. It just doesn't have any ribbon. You're going to get some Pacific Point that you could cut there. And then I've got one that's sideways, right? So I just love the, like, let's let the designer series paper do all the work. So look how pretty that is. And then you've got a hello there, and you've got like your couple circles, and then your little dragonfly. I like to put the little gem on. So there's that guy. And then this one, I might be my favorite. I don't know. They're all my favorite, but I'm going to give you one sunflower. And I just thought it looked perfect in white with a little bit of vellum behind. And if you want to, you could sacrifice that many gems for the center of your sunflower and your best wishes and happy thoughts. So I don't know if that's 6 right there. It looks like that is 6. So there's your 6 right there. And now you could just do 6 exactly like this if you wanted. If you had the sunflower at home. Oh my gosh. I don't know if you can hear that, but I can hear that. They're playing. He's being a good dad. So you could do 6 like that, or you're going to get 6 of these and you're going to get enough ribbon here. So you could make 6 of these and you're actually going to get 6 dragonflies. So you could put a dragonfly in the corner. So if you want to do mass production, you absolutely could. If you want to play and decorate and have a little bit of fun, these pictures will be in there for you. But I'm really letting the designer series paper do all the work. So that's pattern 1. And that's that guy. Now, if you were in a swap, you would need to, well, let's use a different example for a swap. This is kind of hard to do for a swap because you're not going to get 18 identical papers. So that's a little bit difficult to feature if you're in a swap that's, say, 21 people or whatever. So, so that's kind of design 1. Now let's look at one that you could use in a swap. So you're going to get 6 of these, 6 of these. You're going to get 6 of this paper like that. You're going to get 6 of these. It's acceptable in a swap to turn in 2 cards like this and call it the same thing. So you could do, like, let's say I knew I could get, I rolled out a bunch of these. Let's say I knew I could get 20 out of the designer series paper. Well, I could turn in 10 of these and I could turn in 10 of these. And it would absolutely count for a swap because it's basically the same look and feel. You're using some of the same elements. And we know, especially if it's a demonstrator swap, we know that you can't necessarily get 20 or 21 or whatever the number is exactly of the same. You could also do, say, 10 with that designer series paper, and then you could do 10 with a different gray. So let's say there was just a different gray granite, you could do 10 with that guy, right? So I know we're coming up on doing a swap for the first time amongst ourselves and we haven't done it. And we're like, oh my gosh, how can I do it? Well, the first thing is don't pick a pattern where you're relying on that and it has to be exactly that pattern. So you could though, you could use this sunflower, like do exactly this and use different backgrounds on the back. You could do that. You could absolutely do like however many of those. So, so this was my design 2. And I'm going to show us how to mass produce this guy in a little bit, how to just sit down and like mass produce, mass produce, mass produce. So that was design 2. And then this was design 3. Again, I always like to just have a few different designs. I do it for a variety, to keep myself interested, to keep you guys interested, to teach you to use up little pieces, right? So not to waste and just to have some fun, right? So this is the 3rd design. Now, who would know that this is exactly the same sketch? This is exactly the same, like it's got 4 there, it's got 3 there, it's got 3 there. But you can see, you can use that circle. I thought that circle fit that size perfectly. This, by the way, is the Flourishes die set. I just thought that, you know, the one came out a couple years ago, Flourish. I forgot the name of it.
Forever
Anyway,
Fern. Does it go with
Forever
the Forever
Fern.
Fern? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's that guy. And actually that's that guy. So I just thought it would look so perfect that I rolled out, I'm going to roll out a bunch of those for you guys too. So, so anyway, I just thought that little sweetie was good. And I thought he looked good in 3. So I did 3 strips. And again, where did we get those strips? Those were the leftover when we were cutting up our designer series paper to begin with. So those have 3. These have 3. And again, I did the same thing where I glued it underneath, but then I just put a few mini Stampin' Dimensionals throughout so it would just pop and have a little bit of dimension. And I thought 3 was sufficient there. Depending on the sentiment that you use, you could either use a circle here. You could absolutely use a circle here. You could use a smaller circle here. You're going to get some basic white, so you could just cut your own little square if you wanted, or you could use this punch as well. So you have options depending on which sentiments you have. And then, oh my gosh, I really love this guy. I sent it to somebody today who was on my mind actually, but I told you it's kind of my signature. I love to take gems and really like decorate up dragonflies and butterflies. So I did that here. There's that beautiful gray granite ribbon tied. Let me know if you need a bow maker, by the way. I know how you can get a great bow maker that makes great bows. There's the big head and then tiny little, and there you go. So so those are just 3/4 inch by 4 inch, and you could just mix and match, mix and match, mix and match. So where am I in my 10 steps now? So you're going to decide on your sketch. So that's what we did. Decide on 3 different sketches. Those of you who have been with me before know that I have done so many different sketches. I did one that was really cool last year where I took like 2 pieces. I cut them a little bit smaller, but I took 2 pieces like this and I kind of put that on the card front. And then the way I was able to make that work, because we only get the 18 pieces, so I did that for 6 of them. And then for another one, I took like, you cut just a strip here and you put just a strip over here. So if you need ideas, I have ideas. I've got PDFs on my site. I just love mixing and matching. And so when I do the 3 different, it's because I can use up full sheets and I can use up partial sheets. So decide on your 3 sketches. Now you might need to decide your 3 sketches ahead of time. I don't know if this is in perfect order, but this is kind of the steps I take. So then step 8, it's really fun to work with embellishments. Stampin' Up! Does offer ephemera packs. That's how you say it, ephemera. I've heard people really struggle with that word, ephemera. I've done a lot of mixed media. I just love that word, ephemera, but it just means, I mean, this is ephemera, honestly, like your gems and your ribbons and just kind of just having fun with stuff. So make up your own. If you can get one from Stampin' Up, get it. There was a Stampin' stack I did last year with the, what was that? Oh my gosh, it was the gold and the blackberry bliss and the rich raspberry and the polished pink. Oh my gosh, it was so pretty with the oh, I forgot the name of it. Oh, I loved it. So I got the ephemera pack with that, and then you could just go miles and miles, because you can take, like, let's say I don't end up using this guy on a card, but I want to put something on the inside. Well, you can just put this little guy on the inside, or you can use a dauber or a blending brush them up a little bit and put them on an envelope or whatever. So just ephemera is fun. That's just all I have to say about that. So now steps 9 and 10, now we get into production. So let's take the time to do the preparation ahead of time. So we've cut our cardstock, we've got our designer series paper, we've got our stuff rolled out, we've got our ribbons, we've got our gems. So now I'm going to show you a little bit about mass production. So I've got all my goodies here, and I think that I'm going to do this one because it looks the easiest to me with the supplies that we have. And I'm just going to do 3 for purposes right now. So I'm going to do, let me just grab them. So I'm just going to do 3 gray granite right now. And I know I have 3 gray granite pieces. So let me get them. 1, 2, 3. Now, what I have done when I've done Stampa Stacks is I have kind of like sat down and said, oh, let me mix and match. And I think I want to make this many of this style and this many of this style. And let me dole this out here and dole. So have as much fun with it as you want. Do whatever you want to do. But if you just wanted to follow along, you could do that too. So we're going to make 3 of these. So I've got my 3 card bases. I've got my 3 ferns. Got my gray granite ribbon, but I could absolutely mix it up. I could use some of this. I could pop in some of this. I could pop in some of this. I'm not going to. I'm just going to follow along exactly. We don't have any gems, so I'm going to put those guys off to the side. And I'm already going to include these 3 pieces in there. If you want to know the size of these are 1 1/4 by 4 1/2. 1 1/4 by 4 1/2, and then you're going to take your DSP at 1 by 4 1/4, and you're just going to put it on like that, 1 by 4 1/4. In all my kits, well, no, that's not true. In many of my kits, you cut the designer series paper. So we'll do that here. We're going to do 1 by 4 1/4. So I want to get the most out of it that I can. It so happens I've already cut this to 4. So I'm not going to get 4 1/4 there. If I really wanted to, I could trim that down and make it shorter. I don't want to, I'm fine. So I'm going to go 4 1/4 this way. And then I'm going to cut 3 1 inches. And I love our trimmer because I can do 1 inch on the left side or the right side. So I'm going to go 1 inch, and I'm going to go 1 inch, and I'm going to go 1 inch. And actually, I think this guy is 1 inch also. And the nice thing about that is that's the blue pattern for when I go to do the blue pattern. But I've got my 3 pieces right there. And then I've got my 3 sentiments, which I've already stamped one of them. I've got my 3 sentiments. This one really is the easiest because I've done most of the die cutting for you. Some of the other ones, like this. If you're going to do a sentiment like this, you've got to cut kind of the square, because I don't know what sentiment size you're going to use, right? But this one, so now I've got You're on My Mind. Is that true? You're on My Mind. And I would take my Stamparatus and I would line it up and I would stamp exactly. I don't have that right here, so we're just going to go with this one for now. So protect, but sit down and stamp and stamp and stamp and stamp, right? So then you've got everything kind of lined up. And then you just go into mass production mode. Like this is truly what I do. And sometimes I will just take this out to, I will take this out where I'm watching TV with Bob at night. Like if I get to this stage where it's all designed and it's all ready. Oh, and I want my insides. So I'm going to get 3 insides. 1, 2, 3 insides. And I kind of line it up like this. So I'm going to score and score and score. So those guys are ready. And then I glue these 3. Now be careful with this. Yesterday, I am not kidding, I stuck my arm. I had this, it doesn't matter. Anyway, be careful with glue. That's what I'll say about that. But I just kind of, I'm a glue user. So I get my glue out and I use my glue all at once. You can't see, but I've done 3, I've glued all 3 of them. Like I had it out in assembly line fashion. And then, and you want to make sure that your ferns are face up, not, you want to make sure that ultimately that you're going to put the glue on the back and that you know what the back is. And the back, I mean, you can pick whichever back you want, but I like it when the fern is up versus recessed, right? So it's embossed versus debossed. So I've got that guy. And now I'm going to come in and I'm going to put this guy on. Now you want to do it where you've got enough room and you're not on camera. This is why I like glue, by the way, because I can move it around if I need to move it around a little bit. And I burnish it really, really well. I make sure my hands are clean. So I go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So now I've got my 3 ready. I could put my 3 on the inside as well. I won't make you watch me do the inside. But now I've got my outside all ready. So that's good. And now I'm going to do this layer. So I've already cut this layer and I'm going to adhere it to this layer. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 like this. And I'm just going to pop it on there. Again, you want to make sure that it's you're not getting your hands in the glue and that you've got enough room. So that's my 1, that's my 2, and I'll do my 3rd. Now this one, these do happen to be all identical. And so when you do Stamp-A-Stacks, you could absolutely make them all identical. You could also absolutely have fun and be super creative and mix and match and make them different. And so my kits allow for all of that, and this same design approach works for all of that. So now I'm going to glue these 3 and we're going to just place it on there. I'm doing this, I know it may not be super fun watching me glue, but really I want to emphasize like this, how long is it taking me to make these cards? Like 5 minutes to make 3 cards once you've done all the prep and you've gotten it all ready, right? So I'm going to eyeball it and get it right about there. And then I'm going to eyeball it and get it right about there. Now, if you had wanted to put ribbon around it, like I think on one of them, I put ribbon around it. Let me see which one that is. I'll show you that in a second. If you wanted to put, oh no, I don't think I did. I would just say, if you are going to put ribbon all the way so that it wraps around rather than just putting a bow, you would want to do that before you adhere the layer then. So, but in this case, I think the bow just looks nice. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I will have already stamped all of these and gotten dimensionals on the back. I don't know if you guys do what I do, but I cut the corners of my dimensionals and I use even the corners and even the edges. So I cut all the way around, and so I don't let anything go to waste. And then I just make up my 3 bows all at once. I'll just show you one. I love this bow maker, by the way. And what size? One more width. I love this bow maker. If you want to know about it, my upline actually sells these, and I'm happy to support her. She's having a little bit of a rough time right now, so I'm happy to support her. Her husband makes these, and these are amazing. Just really, really sturdy and great and comfortable on the hands. And so now I'm going to come in and snip, and I'm going to snip. So if you want to know about these, let me know. I will message you that information separately. So I'm going to dimensional this guy on here, and I'm going to pop that bow on there with a couple of mini glue dots. So, so that's it. So girls, let me pause and come over to you guys, and let's just open it up. I'm going to just come to kind of the broad view now. So let's just open it up for questions. We are being recorded. This will be on YouTube. So, so if you're comfortable with that, otherwise hide your face, I guess. But do you guys have any questions or thoughts? Or
They're beautiful.
oh, thank you. Thank you.
They are. They're all gorgeous.
Yes, and you made it look very easy.
It genuinely is. I know that it took I know that went zip zip zip, and it took me some time, but it's a formula. Once you do it, it's a good formula. Now so I guess there's a few different ways to think about these things. You could either use them for a swap, you could use them just to fill up your own stash. If you want to get this kit, you can get this kit. If you want to get the PDF, I've got the PDF, so I'll have that information on my blog tomorrow. But are there any other like questions or thoughts, you guys?
When do the kids ship?
The kids ship. Oh, that's a good. I ordered all the supplies. So what's the date today? The 17th. I think I'll open it up the 18th to the 28th, and I'll start shipping after the 28th. So I'll have it open for 10 days. Yeah, let me make a note that that's what I said. But 18 to 28 to order, and then they ship after the 28th. That's good. Yeah. Yeah, I just ordered everything yesterday. So, all right. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording, and I will put this on YouTube, and then we can just stay here for a second if we want. Where is the recording button? Okay.